my name's Alana Kilby, and today I'll be showing you how to make fried rice. Fried rice is a great recipe for beginners because you can feed a lot of people with it, and it does not take a lot of preparation. And our presentation today is going to be broken into three parts. The first one is going to be preparing rice the day before, the second one is going to be preparing other ingredients the day of, and the last one's going to be actually cooking. But before we start our instructions, we're going to need a few things. This is my basic list of ingredients and utensils. Fried rice is a very versatile recipe, so you can choose to add or take away things as you wish. Another note is that I use a rice cooker. I know other people choose to use other different rice cooking methods, and you can use whichever one you feel comfortable with. Our first step is going to be making rice the day before. This is important because the consistency of rice that you want for making fried rice is going to be dry and it's not going to be sticky. And giving rice the time to sit overnight in the fridge is going to get it to that consistency. So our first step is actually putting our rice into our rice cooking bowl and then taking our bowl to the sink to wash the rice. I add enough water that you have a thin layer of water on top of the rice, because if you add any more than that, when you start to drain the rice will try to float on top and escape the bowl into the sink. So you just want to have enough rice that you have a thin layer of water on top of it, which is indicated by the orange arrow here. So we wash the rice because the rice ends up gathering rice dust when it sits for a long time, and it doesn't really add to cooking the rice. So in my before and after images here, you can see that this is what the water looked like the first time that I swirled it around to get all the rice dust off and before I drained it. The after photo is a lot clearer, and that's what we're shooting for. So that's after I've cleaned the rice by adding water and draining it about 3 to 4 times. So once our rice water looks like that, we're going to drain that water, and then we're going to move on to measuring the ratio between rice and water that we want. I do this by taking my index finger and sticking it on the bottom of the bowl, and then using my thumb to measure the height of the rice. I'll then keep this measurement in hand, and then I'll stick the top of my index finger on the top of the rice and then fill water up until it hits my thumb. So once we have our ideal ratio of rice to water in our rice cooking pot, we want to throw it into the rice cooker, plug it in, and then in this case, I'll turn the lever down until the red light is on. You'll want to make sure that you take your rice off its source of heat as soon as it is cooked and air it out, and then you'll want to throw it into a sealed container and put it in the fridge. If you happen to not have time or forget to cook your rice the day before, you can still make fried rice. You'll just have to make it the morning of and offer it plenty of time to get that steam out, because if it's trapped in there with all of the rice in the refrigerator, it will come out still as kind of moist, and we don't want that. Our next step is preparing ingredients before cooking the day that we're cooking. This is particular to eggs and meat. I like to make sure that all of my eggs are whisked together and that they have this yellow consistency throughout the eggs. And then also that my meat is cubed about the same size, because that means it'll cook evenly. And these two things are important because you don't want to be running around panicked when there's something on the stove and you're not paying attention to it because you're looking for a bowl or you're trying to cut all your meat up. And it's just safer that way if you can be at the stove when something's cooking and not be looking for something else. Our next step is actually cooking. And so once your wok is on your stove to a medium-low temperature, you'll want to add vegetable oil, enough to coat the bottom of the wok if you swirl it a little. Then I'm going to throw in our egg mixture. I'm going to make sure that the bottom layer cooks. You can see that's cooked because it's less shiny than the top layer. And that's what I'm going to do before I start stirring consistently. And so once all of the eggs have that not so shiny look, I'm going to throw them onto the cutting board and cut them up into smaller pieces so that everyone gets a bite of egg when they eat their fried rice. Once it's all cut up, I'm going to put it into a large bowl. Our next step is going to be cooking the frozen vegetables. And so this time you'll still want to add another amount of vegetable oil and coat the bottom. Then you'll want to throw in your frozen vegetables. You want to make sure that if you've just taken them out of the freezer, that you don't have your hands anywhere near the top of the wok at this time, because you might end up getting steam burns, and those are not fun. So you want to stir these ones consistently. You don't want to wait too long, just because you want to make sure that the icy coat around the peas is gone, and that if you poke it with your spoon, that it's not very hard. That's how you know they're thawed and cooked. So once that happens, you can go ahead and throw your vegetables into the same large bowl as with the eggs, and then we'll move on to cooking our rice that we made the day before. And so you're going to take your rice out of the fridge, and you're going to make sure that you have that vegetable oil coat again. Before you put your rice in, you're going to stir it around a few times to heat it a little, and then you're going to throw in your cubed meat as well. The rice and meat are a little bit harder to tell if they're cooked all the way because you have to pay attention to the changing color. The easiest part is to make sure to keep an eye on the meat because that's the most obvious detail. The rice is a little harder, but you'll keep stirring them around consistently so you get all the chunks of the rice out. And then you'll keep an eye on that meat. When it starts to brown a little bit, that's when you know it's done. So when that happens, you want to spice your stuff. I like to use soy sauce, sesame seeds, and then also curry powder. And these you add to taste. So if you know your family's not really big on really salty food, then you can add less or more of things. So I will put the soy sauce on first, I will stir things up, and then I'll add sesame seeds and curry powder and stir it up again. I'll taste it, and then I'll add things as needed. So once you have that all set to your taste, you can go ahead and add back the vegetables and the eggs to the mixture. You'll throw everything into the wok and stir it around until you get an image that looks like the one on the right, where everything's really evenly mixed. And then you're ready to serve. You can do that a few different ways. You can have everyone come in the kitchen with their plates, or you can go ahead and put it into a different bowl and take it out to a dining table. So I hope that everyone has had a very informative experience here and that you can go ahead and make fried rice for your family as you feel like it. Thanks for watching.